I will talk a bit about GAIS and how we make it easy for companies to do engagement surveys. So before we do that, I have some slides that I wanna share with you, and then we'll jump to the platform. But first, I will give you a brief introduction to GAIS and who we are. I promise that it won't be too big, just a small information, so you're up to date on that. Then I would like to walk through the setup of a survey on the platform with you guys. So show you how easy it is to actually get going with a survey. After that, I would like to show you also how the reporting looks like. So when all your employees submitted their answer, then of course you'll get some data from the platform, and I'll show you how you can use that and how you can understand it. Um, I will also take you through our personal report, and our personal report is where one of your employees will do the survey, answer all the questions, and then right after, their own personal report will appear on the screen. So I'll show you how that one looks for you guys as well. Then at the end, you will actually be able to try your own survey. My colleague will share a link with you guys so you can actually try the full survey and also receive your own personal report based on the answers that you just gave, just so you have a feel of the flow and how it's looking, and also how it will be for your employees if you once choose to use GAIS as your engagement tool. And then at the end, I will end off with some notes in terms of what do you actually get in a subscription with GAIS, just so you have a feel of what we can do for you guys. I will just jump to the next slide here and just briefly tell you a bit about who we are. So essentially, GAIS is an engagement platform based in Denmark. We have more than 10 years in this area right now, where the key ambition for GAIS is to make it as easy as possible for companies out there to run an engagement survey so they can understand how their employees are feeling about the job, and hopefully to improve the areas where there is some improvements possible, and also just to understand where we do well, because that's also very important when we do these surveys. So what you can use the platform for is essentially, of course, to run a survey for the entire company, but you can also use it for departments, and even individuals can also log in and do their own survey if they would like to. So the platform, of course, we measure the data, so that's why we do that with the survey. Usually, we would send a link on a mail to the employee. They just click the link and immediately enter the browser where they will answer the questions. So that means we're not an app. Everything is in the browser, so your employees would not need an app or to sign in or anything. They just click the link and then they'll answer the questions. So if you're sitting in HR or in the leadership, of course, you'll also get some reporting back that I'll show you as well. So you have enough data to make some decisions in terms of where we need to do some extra work to improve it even more. We also offer some insights and tools where you can get some help in terms of how can we actually, let's say you have a lower score in the leadership factor. So then we will show you some tools where you can get some guides in terms of how can we improve this. Because GAIS is essentially based on a big research, primarily from the Nordics, so Denmark, Norway, Sweden, where we asked a lot of people, what is the most important thing for you guys when you go to work? And based on that, we have a lot of knowledge in this area. So we know quite well what we want to ask in terms of cover what is important for the employees. We have some different subscriptions in terms of what kind of company you are, how big you are, what you need, etc. I will get back to that a bit later. We also have a lot of different user languages available on the platform. So as of today, we have 19. So that means if you are in an international organization where you have multiple languages, well then, if those languages are one of those 19 that we have, well then you can send out the survey on that language. So let's say that you would have some Polish employees, some German, some UK, some Spanish-speaking people. Well, then they can all have their survey in their language, but you will receive the data in your preferred language, just to make it understandable for everybody what they are answering in terms of the questions. Now I would like to just briefly cover what we ask questions to when we run these surveys. Because like I said a minute ago, GAIS is based on a big research in this. And that research showed us 7 overall factors that we identified as being the most important ones when we talk about employee engagement or job satisfaction. That doesn't mean that it covers 100% of what is important, but I think it's up to 80% that it shows in terms of this. And then you'll be able to also add some of your own questions if you have something unique in your company you would like to know. But the 7 factors is balance, mastery, purpose, colleagues, influence, leadership, and achievements. So that's the foundation of our surveys, so to say. I will show you a bit more when we enter the platform, which we actually will right now. So I'll just stop here sharing my screen and see if I will be allowed to share my window here. Just 1 second. I hope that you will be able to see my screen now. Otherwise, I'm sure that my colleague will jump right in a minute. So right now, we actually jump into the platform. And where I would like to start today is actually to show you the personal report before we enter the admin area of the platform. So the personal report, like I said before, this is what your employees will receive after answering the questions. And all your employees will also, of course, most likely you will tell them or let them know that right after they answered the questions, the report will appear, but they'll also see here that this is their own personal report. What they can see here, of course, is, okay, what score did I receive in this survey I just answered? So here I have a score of 90 out of 100 in my job satisfaction score. And if this score would be in one of your employees in your company, then they would be on the higher scale of the job satisfaction score. So of course, that's very nice if that's the case. As an employee, you would be able to view all your scores in terms of the factors. So here we have the overall job satisfaction. Here we can see that we have a score of 90, and we can also see the 7 factors here. You would be able to press them and then see once again the questions that you just went through, and also of course what your score is at the top here. The score below is actually a benchmark score that you would like, if you wanted to, you could allow that benchmark score to be visible for the employees. And that benchmark score is actually all the respondents that we had in the research that GAIS took part of. So here they can kind of compare themselves to like the average score in this big group of people, like 40,000 respondents in this research. If they would scroll down a bit here, then they would be able to see a result of a small exercise that we asked them to do at the end of our engagement surveys. Because we have in our full engagement surveys, we have 37 questions that is placed below these 7 factors here. And then number 38, which is actually not really a question, that would be this little exercise where we ask the employees to rank these 7 factors out of what is most important to them as of the time where they will answer the survey. We do that for 2 reasons, I would say. One reason is for them to kind of sit and have a little thought, okay, what is actually most important for me right now? 2, then we have in our reporting, we have a tool called a focus map where you guys would be able to see, perhaps based on departments, where you would need to have a focus in terms of the follow-up. I'll show you that when we enter that stage as well. Below here, we have the comment section, because it's of course possible for the employees to add comments actually to each of the 7 factors that they'll go through. And the reason that we show the comments in here is actually because you in HR or the leadership, when you do the reporting, you will be able to actually create an anonymous dialogue with a comment. So that means, let's say that you read a comment and you think, okay, I would need to dive a bit deeper into this. At least I'm curious on what this comment means. Then I could engage in this dialogue and say, hey, thank you for your comment. Could you please elaborate what you meant with this point so we could have this as a focus. Best regards, Nicolai from HR or something like that. And then I will be able as an employee to answer from in here so we can dive deeper. Yes. I will just go back here to the main page of the personal report, because what we also present for the employees is some tools in terms of where they can like improve some of their scores, because I think job satisfaction oftentimes is being viewed as that has to only be from top down, so from the leadership and then down in the organization. But what our ambition is to level it more out, because at the end we can't just have like leadership can't just dictate what is a good job satisfaction. We need to have everybody included in this process. So let me give you some examples of how we would like to engage this. And obviously the personal report is also a goal for us to engage the employees a bit more, rather than they just answer some questions, shut down the screen, and then think, okay, I guess now it's up to HR to make everything better. That's oftentimes what we see when companies run these surveys. Here, for instance, I will be presented with a little tool that I would be able to enter if I wanted to. So the platform will give me some information. So here, boost lowest score in achievements. And I have this because my lowest score is on the question about my opportunity to see specific results in my work. Focus on this and boost your job satisfaction. And then I have this little tool I can press here, and then I will enter this universe where I can have a focus on this. If I scroll down a bit more, then I can also see here that the platform tells me that there is a great potential in the colleagues factor. And that's because I have a low score in the relatively, of course, low score in the question about trusting my colleagues, but the colleagues factor is ranked as being important to me. So here we have a little, I would call it like a reflection writing, where I would be able to open this. And then I can read this small article, and perhaps I could get a point or two in terms of how I can myself contribute to creating a better space between me and my colleagues and in the department, perhaps. If I go down a bit more, I can see I have here a bigger tool where there is some videos, some PDF files, and some articles in terms of boosting this achievements factor in general. Then at the end, like I told you before, we have this focus map, and actually you can see it here. So that means that from the company perspective, you will get the focus map based on departments, countries, or whatever you would like to see. And all employees also receive their own personal focus map. And you'll be able to use this focus map if you have one-on-ones or something like that, like a setup like that in your organization today. So let's say that you would have a one-on-one with your colleagues some weeks after running this engagement survey. Then you would be able to ask your employees to scroll down in the personal report, press download here, and then convert it into PowerPoint, and then bring this slide with the focus map, because that's a very good conversation starter, I would say. And just for you guys to understand how it's working, then you can see down here in the right corner, you can see the number 1 and then improve first. So that means the factors that will be drawn down to this lower right corner will be the ones where we need to have the focus in the beginning. And with me, you can see that that's the factor achievements that is placed down here. And the reason it's placed down here is because I relatively, of course, had the lowest scores on the questions when going through the survey compared to how I ranked it. So I ranked it as being important to me. So there is a mismatch here. It's not going the way I wanted it to, but it's important for me. So if we can increase it by doing some work in the next couple of weeks, month, then I could increase my job satisfaction. So this, you would be able to have a very nice visual tool to have your one-on-ones out of, so to say. Or perhaps you could have it as add-on to your one-on-one sessions. So this is actually pretty much the personal report. I hope that you can see the idea of giving the employees something as well. I will jump directly into the admin side of GAIS. So this is where, of course, HR or the leadership will be when setting up a survey, when analyzing the data, when doing action plans, and so on. And I think as a beginning, I would like to show you how it's looking with our surveys. So what kind of surveys do you have the possibility to do as of today? We have 6 different ones, some perhaps more interesting than others. But our engagement surveys are the 2 we have on top here. So the first one is called the GAIS survey. So that's the bigger of the 2 that we have. As I told you, we have here it says 38 questions, but it's the 37 plus 1 with the ranking exercise. Is based on these factors here. And if you would like to create this one, you just press create survey, and then you will enter the setup phase. We also have the one below here called quick GAIS, and perhaps I guess the name of the survey kind of shows what we have here. So this is a smaller engagement survey that you would be able to use. It's the same 7 factors that we ask questions to, but we only ask 1 question per factor, and then we ask 1 question to the overall job satisfaction, and the 9th is again this ranking exercise. It's of course possible for you guys to, in both of these surveys, to add your own questions, because oftentimes companies are different, they are unique. So we would like to ask some questions that we don't have here. So you can ask your own, but we also have a library of questions that you would be able to pick from. We actually have, perhaps some of you work with the ENPS question, you would be able to add that as well if you would like to. So there are some possibility of doing some flexible surveys here. Then we also have this survey, just very briefly, it's called Workplace Risk Assessment. In Denmark, we have to do this survey by law. I know some other countries has as well, where we ask into the physical and psychological work environment. So this one you will also be able to cover if you have that as well in your country. And just at the end, we have 3 factor surveys. And a factor surveys is just an option for you guys to dive deeper into a specific factor. So let's say that you ran the full GAIS survey and you receive the data, and you can see, okay, the balance factor, so the balance between private life and work life, that score is not the best. We would like to explore what is behind this, what is the reason for this. Then you would be able to send out a complete balance survey, only asking questions to this. And you can do that also on leadership and on purpose. Yes, so this was just a brief walkthrough of the surveys that we have today. More is coming. Actually, we will soon launch what we call flexible surveys, where you can create and design your own survey completely without using any of ours if you don't want to, but our engine will analyze the data for you guys. We are excited to present that as well. Now I would like to take you through the setup stage when we will set up a survey. And actually, I'll just go back here and I will do it on this GAIS survey here. So we just press create survey. And then we will enter this setup here, as you see. It's very easy to do the setup, and if you would once choose to start with GAIS, we will of course also during the onboarding help you set up the first survey so you know fully how to do it. But before sending out invitations to the employees, we have to go through these steps up here. And the platform will kind of guide you and taking you to the next step every time we have to do that. So the first thing we would have to do is to name our survey. So we can just say here engagement survey like this. Most likely you'll have a bit more a nicer name than I just have here. But then we would have to pick the frequency of this survey. So is it just a single survey that we will do, or is this yearly or biannually that we would like to do this? Because if we know that we'll do this twice a year, then the platform will set up a draft right away. So when we, in 6 months from now, will get close to the date of sending out the new survey, the platform will send you guys a reminder, hey, it's time for your biannually survey. And then actually most of the setup is already done because it will take as default the same settings as last time. Perhaps we will have to add some employees or remove some that stopped, but pretty much it's the same. So it's very fast to send it out again. Then we have to pick the date for the invitations to be sent out and also what date the survey will end. Then we will go to the next page here, which is the questions. And here you can see all the 38 or 37 that we have here. But you will, like I said, also be able to add some of your own questions, and that's up here in the extra questions menu here. So we have the ones from our own catalog. We can just, if we want to add some, we can just press add question. And then let's say we would like to add this ENPS question, then we can just add the plus here and then say update. And now this will be a part of the survey as well. If you would like to add your own questions that you typed in yourself, you just go down here to own questions, press add here, and then we have English as our language, yes, and then you just pick what type of question it is. So is it multiple choice, scale, or free text? And then you just ask the question, perhaps a help text, and this is a required question if it is, and then you just add those as well. And if you have different languages in your organizations, then of course you would have to translate your own languages, your own questions for those employees, unless all of them understands English. Good. We will just go ahead to the invitation stage here. So here we would like to write the invitation text that the employees will see when they open the link from the mail they'll receive. And we have a standard one already written, but if you don't like that one, you can just delete it all and write your own. And also remember to add the sender name. That's oftentimes nice for the employees. It feels a bit more familiar if the leader of HR or whoever it would be here. Then we will proceed to who we want to invite in this survey. And as a default setting, we always want to invite everyone in the organization. But let's say you would like to do a quick GAIS survey, so the small one in just one department, then you just pick that department. So we would go down here to department, and then we would say, okay, this is only for our sales and marketing team. Then we can see here that we have 14 participants in this department. We would, of course, read them all just to make sure, okay, this is actually those 14 that we have. And if someone is missing, then we have to update them. And the way how we control your organization in the platform is actually by sending you guys in, when we would do the onboarding, we would send you guys a data file, so an Excel file, where we will add your employees, and then we will upload that on the platform. And then the platform will remember your organization. So the only thing we would need to change when we have a new survey is new colleagues or some that left us. Good. We will continue to some filters here. This is actually not that important right now. This is just where we map those filters from your data file to the platform, so it knows exactly what is what here. So I'll just proceed here to the dialogue setting. And this is where we can decide whether or not we want to allow collection of comments. Oftentimes we see companies doing this, but if you don't want comments, you can just make sure that they can do it. And you can also allow replies. So this is the dialogue that I was telling about. And you can also allow if the immediate manager of the employee will be allowed to have a dialogue with their department people. So comments from his or her department. The last settings here is just where you can allow some different things. For instance, we have a function called mini reports that we can allow, and that is based on a department where we don't have enough answers to show a full report. I will get into that in 1 minute. So that is the final setting that we can do here. And then once we're done with these steps here, we will just actually be ready to review and send invitations. And you can also always preview the survey flow if you would like to go through it yourself, just to make sure, okay, it is the right questions and so on. And when we confirm that it is, then you can just send the invitation. So this was the setup phase. I will just jump directly to the reporting. I can see that the time is also flying with me talking nonstop here. So I will just continue to the reports that you will receive once your employees have submitted their answer. So this is kind of the front page of a report that you can go into. And the front page, you will always get some key numbers, I would say, before analyzing the data. So here we can see that we have a job satisfaction score of 71 out of 100. You can also see that 38 answered the survey out of 43 invites, so a fairly good response rate. And you can also see the score you had in each of the 7 factors. Then you can see these green arrows here, and they kind of indicate that we moved up in score compared to the last survey that we did. Because obviously, if you do this twice a year or even more, or once a year, then eventually you will have a series of surveys where you can track the development. And that series is actually up here. So right now we are zoomed in on this one from September last year, but there was also one from August. And here we can see that the next one will be in January. So you can always track the development in a series. You can see that it's completed. And then the next move would be to press View Report, as we will do here. So now we entered what I would call like the engine of GAIS. So in here where you will analyze all the data. And just for your own navigation, we have all the analyzing tool that we offer out here in this left bar. But before diving into some of those, I would like to just quickly run through this top dark bar we have here. And we will start here in the middle in our segment menu. So our segment menu is where you can essentially pick what data you would like to see when going through those menus here on the left. This is some of the typical filters that we add in a survey like this. So gender, age, interval, position, department, country, if we have multiple countries, and so on. And the way it works is, let's say you would like to see some data from a specific department. Then we just go down to department. And then we just choose a department that we have. Let's take, for instance, here, customer success. And then we can see down here that we have 9 answers out of 9 invites. So everybody answered, and we also have enough respondents in terms of showing this report. Everything in GAIS is anonymous. So for a full report, and when I say a full report, that means that we can use all the analyzing tools out here on the left. So before we can use that, we need to have at least 5 answers from a department or a group that you create on your own. If you guys have departments where you are fewer than 5, then we can use the function that was the mini reports that I showed you in the setup phase, and that will go down to 3 answers. If you use a mini report, you won't be able to use, for instance, the tool out here, analyzing tool called the spreads. So where you can see, because all our questions is scale questions, so from 0 till 10, and you won't be able to see the spread in this group of only 3 or 4 people. Then it's a bit easier to guess who is who. If you have departments where you are fewer than 3, you would have to add those with some other departments before you would be able to see some data with those people. You can also combine filters. So now we have this department, but we can also add, let's say, an age interval. So from 18 till 29 years. Let's try and do that. Then you can actually see we have 3 here. So that would be a mini report that we could be able to see if we wanted to. Then we can try and add country, and we can take the Netherlands here. And now you can see cannot be shown because we don't have enough responses here. So the platform will allow or not allow you guys when creating a filter in terms of seeing it or not. Good. I hope this makes sense for all of you. I will just jump directly to some of the tools, analyzing tools that we provide you guys. Let's start with the heat map, because that's one of my favorites. It's always very easy to figure out where we would need to have a focus. So right now we can see all our factors here on top, and also what score we have in each of the factors. Then you would be able to add a filter. Let's take department again. And then we have all our departments down here, and also how many respondents we have in each department just below the department name. And as you can see, the heat map is color coded. So the more red of a box, the lower score, the greener, the higher. So we can pretty fast see where we would need to add some focus. We have some red boxes around, and some of them is also turning red. So we have some areas where we would need to add some focus. We can see, especially down here in customer success, we have a few factors, also these here, where the score, especially the one here on balance, is not good. So here we would need to have a focus. Now you would know, okay, here we need to do something, and then you would actually be able to quickly create an action plan just for you guys to remember when being done with analyzing the data. Then you can go back into our action center up here in the top and find all the things we need to have a focus on. I'll just show you very briefly how you can add it. I just pressed here in the box. All the boxes here have a little mini box, so to say, that you could press. I'll just do that here. And then just press create action, and then we can give this a name, focus on balance, like this. In here we could write a little writing in terms of what would we want to achieve, what do we need to do, and so on. Then we can select the unit. This was customer success, and the platform will tell you that this is an engagement survey, and it was the balance factor. Status here that this is in progress, deadline, we need to do this by tomorrow, so we are also in a hurry. And you can also pick a responsible. I assume that it doesn't always have to be HR or the CEO or whoever to do this. It could also be the department manager. Let's say in this case, this is Grace. Then we press create, and then Grace will receive an email saying, hi, you are responsible for this action, and it will be able to be found up here in the top. So now you don't have to write it in some Google Sheet document or on a paper where you can find it in 2 weeks again. You have everything combined in the platform. I would like to also show you the factor tool up here, because this is where you can just see all the factors, how it's going. This is your score, and here we have some benchmark scores that you would be able to compare yourself with if you wanted to use this. You can also open up the factors, see all the questions. You can again use your filters. Let's take department. Then we can see all the departments, the score on each factor, and see how it's going. I would also like to briefly take you through the development tool up here, because here you can of course track development, and this makes sense when you have more than one survey, of course. And when you do that, let's say you would have 5 surveys, then up here in the left corner you would be able to adjust the timeline of which you would like to see development from. So right now this only includes 2 surveys, so we see this development here. So we have the surveys down here in the bottom, and then you can just hover the mouse over the factors and see how it's going. So it's pretty visible in terms of, is it going up or down? The last thing I would like to show you in here in terms of the analyzing tools is our comments section, because of course it's possible for you guys to find all the comments if you allowed employees to do them. And depending on how big your organization is, you might end up with a lot of comments. Here you can see that we have 207 comments in this company here. So we try to make it easy for you guys to kind of navigate the comments, how you find them and segment and so on. So you can always press the factors. Let's say you would like to see, so what did the employees writing about the leadership factors, what did they say? So here we have them all. Perhaps you would like to see, like, what did the persons with the lowest job satisfaction score, what did they write? So you can find that up here in the right corner. So the score between 0 and 60, what did they write? Compared to the ones with the best score in the organization, what did they write? So you can always compare those 2 sections to see, can we do something here? And then finally in here, this is also where we have our reply function. So let's say you read a comment, and you would like to dive deeper into this specific comment, then you just press reply here. And then you can see up here that the employee is anonymous, so we don't know who we were texting, unless of course they would say best regards, Paul. I actually seen that, and then Paul was a bit annoyed that it wasn't anonymous, but that's difficult when he let us know who he was. But if they don't do that, of course you can see who it is. You can see the comment here, and then you can reply, hi, thank you for your comment. Could you please elaborate, or whatever, join me for a cup of coffee, or what you would find appropriate. And then the employees can do something within their personal reporting, and like answer you in the personal report. And like I showed you in the personal report that we present some material for the employees, we also do that for the company perspective. And you'll find all that down here in our resources. So we have a lot of resources that you guys can go through, and we have also more than what we show here, but we only show the resources in the in the report that is actually useful compared to the score that you received. You can always go back to see the full library. So here you have some help that you can dive into if you would like to, in terms of how we can follow up with the employees. And then lastly, in here, I would like to show you the focus map. You already saw it in the personal report, but you of course also get this in terms of the company report. So I would always recommend that you do this on department level, because like if you would have a company where you have some production and you also have an office department, then those two most likely will be very different from each other. But here you can see the focus map, and like I said, down here on the right corner, you'll find the factor that you would need to look into in the beginning. So here would be the balance factor. Yes. Let's say you would like to present some of these data for the company or departments. Then we made it easy for you guys to extract some information from the platform. So down here in our download center, you can have the platform creating PowerPoints for you guys, so you don't have to do this on your own. This is where we see a lot of companies use a lot of time creating a PowerPoint like this, and you can also create it in all the languages that we have. So you have something that you can show. You will also be able, like from the admin perspective, to give access to department leaders if you would like them to be able to sit in here and seeing actually the same as we did here, but only with responses from their department. So they can also interact with the platform like that. This was some of the things that I wanted to show you in the reporting. Of course, I didn't show you everything, but I hope that you got a good impression of how easy it is to just go through the tools that we provide and see how visible the data is presented. The last thing I wanted to show you from in here, like in the platform, is the action center. So this is where you will find the actions that you created throughout the reporting. You see that we have these here, and this is kind of the front page of an action. So you can always see some key information, so such as what do we need to do, who does it include, what factor, how many tasks is done, is it in progress or is it completed, and so on. You will also be able to open an action plan. Then you will see this view, the same as we saw when we created it, but you would also be able to move on to this task area where you can create 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tasks that you need to do before the full action is done. And of course, at the end, you can also share these action plans, because perhaps you would like for the employees in the departments to be able to come in and see this. And they can go through their own personal report and see action plans that is set up based on their department, for instance. So that's also possible. Yes. This was some of the things that I wanted to show you in the platform. And before being completely done for today, I just want to stop sharing my screen here and then enter the PowerPoint just for the last slides. I will just open it here like this. And just briefly some information in terms of what you will receive or get in a GAIS subscription. Like I said, we have some different ones depending on what kind of a company you are, how big you are, and so on. But you get, of course, all the things that I showed you today. We also have some of the things highlighted today, such as the heat map, mini reports, and so on, because it's actually also possible to set up a free account. Like we have a freemium version of GAIS where you can set up like a test survey, or if some of you guys are represented in a company where you are less than 25 employees, then you can actually run a complete survey for free. Then you won't get some of these tools like the heat map and some of the things, the mini reports, you won't be able to use in the free version, but at least you will be able to run it and see how it feels, and then perhaps you would want to upgrade later on. Yeah, so if you guys also want to test GAIS on a department before actually deciding whether to buy it or not, then we can also set up a pilot where we can where you guys can have a feeling of how it's going and how it is to use it and so on. That's no problem at all. Now, my colleague will add a link here in the Q&A where you can actually, when you press the link, then you actually go through the same flow or the same steps as your employee will do when they will be invited. So you can try our full survey, so the 37 plus the little ranking exercise, and then you'll also receive your own personal report. Just so you have a feel of how it is. So if you would like to do that, just press the link and nothing will be saved when you shut down the window. Then it's gone by that. But you can reuse the link as many times if you want to. Also, if you want to share it with a colleague to try it or something like that, then you can do that as well. Yes. That was actually more or less it for me today. I see that I'm actually 2 minutes before planned. That's first time. Normally I go a bit beyond the time that we planned. So that's nice for me, I guess. I hope that you received some information that you wanted to today and got a feeling of how easy it can be to send out surveys like this, especially if you have been used to doing it on your own, like setting up your own surveys and know how much time it can take doing that. I hope that you saw that it can be done differently and faster. Of course, if you would like to hear some more, or you would like to have a personal demonstration with me, then you have some of my information here, my mail and my number. Feel free to reach out to me. Then we can set up a demonstration, or we can set up a pilot. If you would like to do that, I can do that for you guys as well. So you can try, guys. Then just reach out to me and we will figure out the next steps from there. I guess there is not more from my side today. This is also recorded, of course, so you'll also receive the recording after if you would like to see something again. So I guess there's nothing more from me, just to say thank you for dropping in today and listening to me in this webinar, and just want to wish you a great day and hope to hear from you soon. Bye. Tell you a bit about who we are.